On this edition of Let's Explore This, we're going to be discussing a community that was once the junction of the Appalachian Railway, which operated from 1906 to 1935, and the Southern Railway's Murphy Branch. This community, it is located along Highway 19. It is northwest of Whittier and east of Bryson City. The community harbors a name derived from a word in the Cherokee language, Ela Dam, which translates as Yellow Hill. Yes, Yellow Hill has been used by the Cherokee tribe in reference to their headquarters of the town of Cherokee. Ela, however, was simply derived from the term, and Ela, in its early days, was not only a stop on the railroad, but was very active in the lumber industry. There was, in the late 1800s and early 1900s, a lot of lumber mills that were active in this area. A spur line even once ran from the Southern Railroad here from Ela to Smokemont. The railroad often carried food, machinery, and other goods to Cherokee, Ravensford, and the commissary at Smokemont. There was once a lumber mill here at Ela as well, but it was apparently purchased and moved to the forks of the Tuckasegee in Jackson County. Furthermore, for all of you sports fans out there, a number of baseball teams were once organized in the surrounding area. As Whittier had a team, some lively games went on. Ravensford also had a team. So, how do you think the Ravensford team got to Whittier to play? Well, they rode the train from Ravensford to Ela and then caught the train to Whittier. And after the game, they went home the same way. And in the early 1900s, a schoolhouse and a church were an essential part of almost every community. Ela was no exception. The schoolhouse of Ela not only served as a school to teach reading, writing, and arithmetic, but it was also a church. The gospel was preached to all ages, as was customary at the time. Revival services were often held during school hours. It was after one such revival meeting where several people were convinced that the need for an organized church was needed. A presbytery, along with the Reverend A. J. Blackburn, met at the Ela Schoolhouse on September 18th of 1920 and organized the Ela Missionary Baptist Church. Land for the church building, it was donated by J. M. Klein, and many men in the community donated logs to be cut into lumber. Z. J. Hyatt owned the block-making machine, which was used for making the blocks. And ladies and young people in the community, they held box suppers to raise money to pay for the building. The church bell, it was donated by Walter Nelson and is still rung today for services, or at least it was in 1987. Early church records, however, they were damaged by a flood that occurred in 1940. And according to the church minutes, in 1925, the church appointed a regular standing committee. And that committee, it was to investigate and report any and all trouble that may come up in the church. There is a story told that during a revival led by Reverend Thad Watson, a drunk man was saved. The next day, when the man met Reverend Watson, he said, "You are the man that saved me last night." Watson reportedly looked at him and replied, "You look like someone I would save." and walked on. But that's not all. No, the Baptist Training Union, it was organized on May 3rd of 1942, and the Women's Missionary Union, it was organized in 1948. The first vacation Bible school, it was held in 1950 under the direction of Miss Dorothy Edwards, associational missionary. 7 Sunday school rooms and 2 restrooms were added to the church in 1952. And bus transportation for services, that was added in June of 1982. A heating system, it was installed in 1959. And air conditioning, yes, that was installed in 1983. And while we're on churches, let's talk about another, more overlooked church building in the Ela vicinity. Well, this church is supposed to have been on Cooper's Creek Road. Now, it might have been demolished or converted to something else, I don't know, but the area where I am now driving, it is supposed to have been close to that location. Regardless, reportedly, a Sam Webb had erected the building around the turn of the 20th century. After he had a falling out with another congregation, Webb was able to find a preacher and attract a congregation of about 7 members to his small structure. The plain building is constructed of vertical planks, a low shed roof, square 4-light windows on the side elevations, and a single leaf wood door on the facade. Now, that all sounds nice and cool, but I can't seem to locate anything like that. But then again, there are only a few places to park to get a good look. Yes, maybe I happened to overlook it, or just maybe it has been demolished, or maybe it has been reformed into something else. Let me just stop there for a bit. There is this church, Thomas Chapel, located on Galbraith Creek Road. No, I did not go there, though it's not all too far from the Ela vicinity. The reason I am bringing this up is this. If this here is that Sam Webb, then he is buried in the Thomas Chapel Cemetery, the one associated with that church on Galbraith Creek Road. So, could that be the church they're talking about? According to a nearby inn who is restoring the church, it does date back to the 1800s. That is all well and good, but the architecture for this and the one discussed does not exactly add up. Like, there's no vertical planks here. So, could this be it? I don't know. All I know is I need to move on. And here, this river you are now looking at, it is the Tuckasegee River. But I bet the topography can get a bit deceiving to those who simply pass through the area. You see, many who continue traveling down Highway 19 past Ela are likely to think the river they are looking at is the same river, the Tuckasegee. In reality, however, things are much different. This river here, it is the Oconaluftee. The confluence of those 2 rivers is not readily visible from the road. And then here we have a dam. And if you think this dam is on the Tuckasegee, you would be wrong. In fact, for most of its length, the Tuckasegee has no dams on it. A nearby dam on the Tuckasegee was removed in 2010 to ensure the river can flow free once again. As far as this river goes, though, its fate is a bit different. It still holds a dam at this location, and here is the story of this dam in the Smoky Mountain Power Plant here in Ela. So, once upon a time, back in 2003, there was a study done on 7 dams in the Nantahala vicinity in order to determine whether or not they could be eligible for the National Register of Historic Places. One of these 7 dams was none other than the Ela Dam. There is a lot to be said here, so let's get this thing moving on. This dam, the Bryson Dam and Powerhouse, was constructed in 1924 on the Oconaluftee River. Built by the Bryson city government, the Bryson plant provided power to several hundred residents and businesses of the community for several decades. Nantahala Power and Light purchased the Bryson City electric power system in 1942. The plant, it consisted of a multiple arch-type concrete dam, 241 feet long and 34 feet high, and a brick powerhouse that contains 2 hydroelectric units of 700 horsepower capacity each. A 6.5 mile, 12 kilowatt transmission line does run from the Bryson plant to Cherokee. A distribution system is also said to have been, or still is, present in the town of Bryson City to Substation Bryson City. And at the time of its acquisition in 1942, 704 customers received power from this system. And in 1943, Nantahala Power and Light converted the plant to semi-automatic operation, reducing the operating force from 4 to 1. And all of this new equipment, it consisted of float-operated devices constructed in the Nantahala Power and Light shop to operate 2 tainter gates, while varying the load on the units according to the stream flow. The remainder of the installed equipment consisted of overcurrent, bearing temperature, oil pressure, relays, and field breakers, all utilized to provide automatic protection to the units. Then, come 1986, the Bryson Dam and Powerhouse were both extensively remodeled. Over the years, the dam has lost large sections of its original concrete due to exposure to the elements and the freeze-thaw cycle. In order to repair the dam, the original spalled concrete was chipped down to the firm concrete, and a new surface of gunite was then applied. And what is gunite, might you ask? Well, gunite is a surface which is built up through a dry mixture of cement and sand through a hose under air pressure, which is then mixed with water at the nozzle. And the result, it is a rough, textured concrete rather than the smooth kind of concrete of the original surface. And for the Bryson Dam, a wire mesh was applied to the original surface. 2 to 4 inches of gunite was then added. Concurrent with the work on the dam, the powerhouse was remodeled through the enclosure of the majority of original windows with wood and stucco panels. Okay, well, it appears that the majority of the windows these days are once again visible. At the time this episode was filmed, I do not see any wood and stucco panels. Regardless of any changes that might have happened, the Bryson Powerhouse was built in a rectangular plan and constructed of 6-course common bond brick, and in 1986, it was all sandblasted. The building's original doors were removed and replaced with framed vertical board doors with diagonal bracing in 1986. Okay, so I kind of need to stop there. I do not see that either. There is a vertical door, yes, but A vertical board door? That door there looks metal to me. And what about the diagonal bracing? I do not see that at all. But then again, where is the entrance door exactly? Maybe I cannot really get to it. Regardless, though, let's move on now to the windows. The window openings. They were covered with stucco panels in 1986, but retained their original brick sills. Maybe. But we already talked about not seeing stucco these days. And at the roof line is a corbelled brick cornice. The powerhouse. It has a concrete foundation with the penstocks divided by concrete piers. On the north facade are transformers enclosed with a plywood and metal fence. Once again, this historic info does not readily add up. A metal fence, yes, but where is the plywood? I don't know. You tell me. Moving on now to the interior of the Bryson Powerhouse. It has a poured concrete floor, exposed brick walls, a ceiling of exposed rafters, and roof decking. The interior is composed of open floor space, except for an original corner office. However, that is something I cannot access and therefore cannot show you, but the report does say that this office has a wood partition wall, two 2/2 wood sash windows, a wood ceiling, and an original 5-paneled wooden door. The window openings were covered in 1986 with panels of stucco, but the original windows, they are said to remain beneath. These are said to be exposed on the interior and are said to feature a paired 24 light steel awning design with 8 light paired transoms. Over the main entrance are paired 16 light windows and paired 8 light transoms. Okay, so we're back to this door again. And again, I am not sure if this is the main entrance exactly, but all I see above it is this. On the east facade of the powerhouse are the steel head gates for the penstocks and gate winches. The building, it has an original switchboard manufactured by General Electric, and the building contains two vertical Francis turbines, both of which produce 700 horsepower. The original turbine installed in 1925 was manufactured by S. Morgan Smith. A second turbine, which was manufactured by James Leffel and Company, was installed in 1929. Both generators were manufactured by General Electric. And the dam itself, it impounds Lake Ela, which has a capacity of 38 acres when full. The dam is of concrete with 4 multiple arches and an exterior surface of gunite added in 1986. On top of the dam is a corrugated metal gatehouse containing the winch for the 2 steel tainter gates. This gatehouse, it has a metal shed roof and an exterior of 1986 corrugated steel. Now, I bet many of you are now wondering whether or not this dam actually meets the criteria to be listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Well, it has not been listed, but has been determined that it does meet Criterion A, and under Criterion A, the plant is significant for its role in the development of electric power in western North Carolina. Constructed in 1924, the plant was one of the earliest in western North Carolina to bring electricity to a municipality. It served several hundred residents and businesses in the Bryson City community, and it contributed to changes in the lifestyles of area residents through the introduction of electrical power. The plant continued to serve the surrounding community after being acquired by Nantahala Power and Light in 1942. The Bryson Powerhouse, it was modified in 1986 through the enclosure of original window openings with wooden stucco panels, as well as the replacement of original doors. This happened at about the same time the Bryson Dam was modified through the application of a gunite surface. The alterations to the Bryson Powerhouse and the dam do not greatly alter the appearance of the structures as to render them ineligible for listing as an important historic resource. The powerhouse's interior does retain its design from its period of significance. This does include its original turbines and switchboard. These components, they do reflect the historic operations of the plant, and they do represent the development of electrical power in the area. The historic physical setting surrounding the Bryson Powerhouse and Dam, furthermore, does remain intact. The entire complex as a whole, it does retain sufficient historical character to convey an overall sense of time and place of its period of significance. And furthermore, in 2010, Equinox embarked on a project to update the Lake Ela Dam to accommodate a variety of recreational opportunities. Equinox, it is an environmental planning team who sought to spearhead the efforts of a carefully sited fishing pier on the Oconaluftee River near the dam site. The river, yes, after all, it is one of North Carolina's historically rich trout fishing rivers that drains the Cherokee Qualla boundary and the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. The project, it also included a portage route around Lake Ela Dam, as it is now called, directional signage, some canoe takeout enhancement, a river put in, some parking, and some stormwater treatment was installed to remove pollutants from the vehicle byproducts. Yes, all of that is kind of cool, but I have got a better idea, maybe. Why not get rid of the dam altogether? Hmm, just a thought. Once again, folks, yes, I need to stop there for just a bit. This episode was originally done prior to 2020, however, this is a revision. And at the time this revision was done, in 2024, some recent info about this dam has come up. You see, it turns out that removing the dam, it may not just be wishful thinking. There is actual talk about it, enough in fact to make me believe that removal of the Ela Dam, it might actually be in the works as we speak. Nothing appears to be set in stone just yet, but it does appear to be, I don't know, almost there maybe? As for me, however, at this moment in time, I need to be somewhere else. Moving on now to this Cooper's Creek, a tributary of the Tuckasegee River. And at the intersection of Cooper's Creek and Highway 19, one can find the Cooper's Creek General Store. And it might be a typical gas station and convenience store, though this area, it also harbors a darker history. Yes, of course, it is beautiful with the creek and river and all, but it does happen to be where, on April 2nd of 1931, Horace Kephart, a prominent proponent of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and a resident of the nearby Bryson City, died in a tragic automobile accident. Yes, it happened near this very vicinity, and Horace was well known as the author of Our Southern Highlanders, a work which went on to become a regional sensation. Now, moving down the road along Cooper's Creek a bit, what do we have here? So, way back here appears to stand tall a grist mill, one that certainly does appear to be in need of some work. You can even see the old water wheel in the back. This was something of a surprise to find back here. I did a bit of quick research after the fact and found hardly anything. Yeah, did not go into deeds and all that stuff, but not enough time for that much in depth stuff right now. But looking behind the mill, there is the beautiful Cooper's Creek and its rapids. But strangely enough, it does appear Swain County does not have a historic commission. It does have a heritage museum. Likely, though, someone is overlooking this property. Not sure of who. Sorry, didn't really check the property records on this one. Still, this one is a bit unusual to come across down a back road. I kind of wonder how old it is. Is it original to this area, or has it been moved? Those are the kinds of questions inquiring minds want to know. I would like to answer them, but I do have to move on. For you folks out there, we are not exactly done yet. Yup, I have one more treat from Ela for you. Interestingly, Ela, it is home to the Tuckasegee River Bridge, used by the Great Smoky Mountains Railroad. The bridge, it is a Warren Truss bridge, meaning it uses equilateral triangles to spread out the loads on the bridge. Now, a Warren Truss bridge, it is not the same as a Neville Truss bridge, because a Neville Truss bridge, that uses isosceles triangles. Yes, whether or not a triangle has equal sides does make all the difference in bridge truss forms. This bridge, though, it was built way back in 1900 by Edgemore Bridge Works, the same plant who was responsible for the deck on the Brooklyn Bridge in New York. Of course, most people know about that one, but not about this one so much. Yet this bridge does appear to have stood the test of time so far, but its builder is long gone, Edgemore. They were liquidated way back in 1936. And with that said, I hate to say it, it appears we have come to the end of our tour of Ela. All good things have to come to an end at some point, but you know what? Soon I will be in another town or at another site, and who knows where. It just might be your town.